What if I told you that the most ordinary, forgotten branches in your yard could become the most extraordinary treasures in your garden? In this video, we'll uncover more than 25 rustic and whimsical creations, everything from fairy tale arches to magical lanterns, crafted entirely from dry branches and simple recycled scraps. Each idea is designed to spark wonder, add charm, and show you how trash can transform into timeless beauty. Stick around, because by the end, you'll see garden art in a way you've never imagined. Welcome to Mind Over Decoration, the place where ordinary objects are reborn into extraordinary decor. Today's video is all about 25 plus dry branch upcycle ideas, rustic DIY fairy garden creations you'll regret not trying. We've added timestamps so you can explore each idea at your own pace. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, the real magic happens when you take these ideas and make them your own, using whatever you already have at home. To you, I may just be another face on a screen, but behind this content is a real story, and a real family. This isn't just another DIY video, it's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it means more than you can imagine. When you support this channel, you're not only helping it grow, you're keeping a dream alive, giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for truly seeing me. Imagine stepping into your backyard and being welcomed by a handmade archway that feels like it came straight out of a fairy tale. A rustic twig archway with climbing roses is one of the simplest yet most enchanting creations you can add to your garden. Built entirely from dry branches you might otherwise overlook, this archway instantly transforms an ordinary path into a magical gateway. To create one, gather sturdy dry branches of similar length. Choose pieces that are slightly curved for a more organic look. Using natural jute rope or garden twine, lash the branches together to form two side frames and connect them with horizontal beams. Don't worry about making it too perfect, the unevenness of twigs actually adds rustic charm. Once the base is secure, anchor it into the ground at your garden entrance or along a path. Now comes the true magic, planting climbing roses at the base. Varieties like New Dawn, Eden, or Zephyrine Drauhen are excellent because they bloom profusely in summer. As the roses climb, their blooms will frame your archway in cascades of pink, red, or white. To soften the base, plant lavender, marigolds, or even strawberries so the arch doesn't just smell wonderful, it becomes alive with colors and textures. Beyond the visual beauty, this archway creates a natural invitation to explore your garden. Guests will instinctively pause, take photos, or walk through with a smile. Imagine the moment when children run beneath it, or when you sip evening tea while watching sunlight filter through the rose petals. The archway also serves practical functions. It defines spaces in your yard, perhaps dividing a vegetable patch from a flower garden, or guiding the way to a patio. And unlike expensive metal or stone structures, this version is nearly cost-free, made with recycled natural materials you already have around. To keep it fresh, check the lashings each season and replace weakened twigs if necessary. You can even paint the branches in subtle colors, soft pastels for a romantic look or bright tones for a whimsical twist. With each summer, your roses will grow fuller, making the archway even more breathtaking. In the end, your rustic twig archway is not just decor, it's a living piece of art, built by your own hands, blending nature, creativity, and sustainability into a timeless garden treasure. There's something magical about creating a garden feature that feels like it belongs to another world. A whimsical branch fairy house with bottle windows brings that magic alive in the most enchanting way. Made entirely from humble materials, dry branches, moss, and recycled bottles, this tiny home captures the imagination of both children and adults. To begin, gather sturdy twigs and branches. Choose pieces that vary in thickness so you can use stronger ones for the frame and thinner ones for decorative details. Construct a small hut-like shape, either triangular like a woodland cabin or rounded like a hobbit home. Lash or glue the branches together, making sure the structure is steady. For the roof, layer bark, moss, or even pieces of recycled shingles. This rustic roof not only adds charm but also blends seamlessly into the garden. The most eye-catching detail comes from the windows. Cut or repurpose colored glass or plastic bottles into circular or oval shapes. Secure these pieces into the walls to form whimsical bottle windows that glow when the sunlight passes through. On a bright summer day, the house sparkles like a jewel, instantly turning your backyard into a fairy tale setting. For extra magic, add a tiny door made from driftwood or old wooden scraps, perhaps with a small pebble pathway leading up to it. Now, think about placement. Set the fairy house under a tree, by a flower bed, or even nestled among vegetables. Surround it with ferns, marigolds, or lavender to give the illusion of a secret woodland hideaway. If you enjoy night gardening, place a small LED light inside so the bottle windows shine like stained glass after sunset. This whimsical creation doesn't just decorate, it tells a story. It invites visitors to pause and imagine tiny fairies living within, or children leaving little offerings of flowers and pebbles. It's a reminder that gardening is not just about growing food or flowers, but about cultivating joy, imagination, and wonder. And perhaps the most rewarding part? You've taken materials that might otherwise end up as trash, fallen branches and discarded bottles, and given them a second life. In doing so, you've built a sustainable, magical focal point that elevates your garden into a place of beauty and storytelling. Every time you glance at your fairy house, you'll be reminded that creativity can transform even the simplest scraps into something extraordinary. If you're looking for a garden project that combines practicality with striking visual impact, a dry branch spiral trellis for grapevines is the perfect idea. Unlike ordinary straight trellises, the spiral form instantly catches the eye and brings an artistic dimension to your backyard. As grapevines grow and weave their way upward, the trellis becomes a living sculpture, blending rustic craft with the abundance of nature. To start, gather long, sturdy dry branches, willow, hazel, or even trimmed orchard branches work best. Arrange them in a spiral pattern, beginning with a wide circle at the base and gradually tightening as you rise. Secure the branches at intervals with natural jute rope or wire, ensuring stability. The spiral design doesn't need to be exact. Part of its charm lies in its irregular, handmade look. Anchor the base firmly into the soil or even into a barrel planter to keep it steady through wind and rain. Once your structure is ready, plant grapevines at the base. As they grow, gently guide the tendrils around the spiral. Within weeks, you'll see leaves unfurl and stems wrapping naturally along the twigs. By midsummer, clusters of grapes will begin to form, dangling beautifully between the spiraling branches. Imagine the joy of picking sun-warmed grapes right from your own backyard, healthy, homegrown, and stunningly displayed. This spiral trellis also offers practical advantages. Its vertical form saves space, making it ideal for small gardens or patios. The spiral pattern improves air circulation, reducing the risk of fungal disease in the vines. Plus, the structure doubles as living shade when placed near a seating area. You can enjoy afternoon tea beneath its green canopy, watching dappled sunlight filter through the leaves. To enhance the base, surround the trellis with companion plants, lavender to deter pests, marigolds for color, or strawberries for a fruitful ground cover. Each season, the spiral evolves. In spring, tender shoots; in summer, heavy vines; in autumn, golden leaves. Even in winter, the bare spiral form stands as sculptural art. The beauty of this project lies not just in its function, but in its symbolism. A spiral represents growth, continuity, and natural flow, exactly what gardening is all about. By crafting this trellis, you're creating more than a support for vines. You're designing a focal point that inspires admiration and storytelling. In the end, your dry branch spiral trellis becomes a masterpiece, rustic, elegant, and undeniably unique. A true celebration of creativity and sustainability in your backyard. Imagine walking into your gazebo on a warm summer evening, only to look up and find a rustic twig chandelier glowing gently above your head. Crafted from nothing more than dry branches, recycled jars, and a touch of creativity, this chandelier brings an instant touch of magic to your garden gatherings. It is rustic, whimsical, and sustainable, all the things that make backyard decor unforgettable. The process begins with collecting dry branches. Look for medium-thickness twigs that can be bent slightly without breaking. Arrange them into a circular frame or star-like pattern, tying each joint securely with natural rope or garden wire. The base doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, the uneven, organic lines give the chandelier its unique rustic charm. Next comes the decoration. Mason jars or recycled glass bottles make excellent lanterns. Suspend them with wire or rope around the frame, placing LED candles inside for safety. If you want a daytime pop of color, paint some of the branches in pastel tones, mint green, coral, or lavender, or wrap them with dried flowers and sprigs of herbs like rosemary. At night, add small fairy lights or solar-powered bulbs that twinkle like stars, casting shadows across the gazebo's wooden beams. Once the chandelier is ready, hang it from the gazebo or pergola roof. Make sure it is secure, safety first, especially if you'll be entertaining guests beneath it. The effect is stunning, a handcrafted focal point that transforms your seating area into an outdoor living room. Picture family dinners, romantic evenings, or even just a quiet cup of tea, all made more special by the warm glow of your chandelier. What makes this project even more appealing is its versatility. In summer, it becomes a festive centerpiece for garden parties. In autumn, you can weave in pine cones and dried leaves for a seasonal theme. Come winter, hang tiny ornaments or ribbons for a rustic holiday vibe. Each season, the chandelier adapts, proving that sustainable decor can be both practical and stylish. Beyond beauty, it also tells a story. It shows that with creativity, what others might see as waste, fallen branches, empty jars, can become art. It invites conversation, admiration, and inspiration. Guests will ask, "Where did you buy that?" And you'll smile, knowing it was made with your own hands. The rustic twig chandelier isn't just lighting, it's atmosphere, personality, and a shining example of turning simple scraps into timeless garden treasures. There's nothing quite as soothing as the sound of water in a garden. Add to that the charm of rustic craft, and you have the twig and recycled bottle pond fountain, a feature that turns an ordinary backyard into a magical sanctuary. Combining natural twigs with colorful bottles, this fountain is not just decor, it's living art that invites relaxation, attracts wildlife, and showcases creative upcycling. To begin, prepare a small pond base. This can be a prefabricated liner, a repurposed container, or even a simple stone-lined hollow. Around the pond, place mossy rocks or pebbles for a natural look. Next, collect sturdy dry branches to form the fountain's frame. You can arrange them into a tripod or spiral, tying them securely with rope or garden wire. The rustic texture of the twigs will serve as the skeleton for your fountain. Now for the magical twist, recycled bottles. Choose glass bottles in green, blue, or clear tones, or paint plastic bottles with bright colors. Cut or shape them so they act as spouts. Attach them at different angles along the twig frame, ensuring water can flow through. Connect a small water pump hidden in the pond, feeding a tube that leads into the bottles. As the water trickles down, it flows from bottle to branch, spilling gracefully back into the pond below. The result? A whimsical cascade that sparkles in sunlight, reflecting colors from the glass. Children will marvel at it, guests will pause to admire it, and you'll find yourself drawn to its calming rhythm each day. Surround the pond with seasonal flowers, marigolds, lavender, or daisies, for bright color. For a productive twist, plant vegetables like peppers, tomatoes, or strawberries nearby, letting your fountain become the heart of both beauty and abundance. Practical benefits also come with this creation. Flowing water keeps the pond oxygenated, creating a healthier environment for plants, fish, or even visiting birds. The sound masks background noise, offering tranquility even in busy neighborhoods. At night, place small solar lights or floating candles on the water to give your fountain an enchanting glow. Perhaps the most rewarding part of this project is its sustainability. Old bottles that might have been discarded now shine as jewels in your garden. Dry branches that once seemed useless become structural art. Together, they form a feature that costs little but delivers endless charm. The Twig and recycled bottle pond fountain is proof that creativity and recycling can transform scraps into serenity, a garden centerpiece that celebrates both nature and imagination. Sometimes the smallest details create the biggest magic. A whimsical twig swing for tiny fairy gardens is one of those enchanting touches that transforms a corner of your backyard into a miniature world of wonder. Made from nothing more than twigs, rope, and imagination, this tiny swing invites both children and adults to pause and dream. To create one, start with 2 sturdy twigs to act as posts. Anchor them into the soil of a planter or a small fairy garden bed. Connect the tops with a horizontal branch, forming a tiny swing frame. For the seat, use a small piece of bark, a flat pebble, or even a scrap of wood. Tie it with thin jute rope or strong thread, adjusting the length so it hangs neatly and moves gently with the breeze. Don't worry about imperfections. The rustic unevenness is exactly what gives it fairy tale charm. Next, decorate the setting. Add moss around the base for a woodland floor effect. Plant tiny flowers such as daisies, violets, or marigolds to give bursts of color. For a whimsical touch, scatter pastel-painted pebbles or place miniature figurines nearby. Recycled elements can also enhance the scene. Use painted bottle caps as fairy stepping stones, or a broken teacup as a planter beside the swing. The magic of this tiny swing isn't just visual, it creates atmosphere. Imagine children discovering it and asking, "Do fairies really live here?" Or picture a summer evening when soft solar fairy lights glow around the swing, making it shimmer as if enchanted. The swing becomes a storytelling object, a reminder that gardens are not only about plants, but also about imagination and play. This DIY also works perfectly for small spaces. Even if you don't have a large backyard, you can set up a miniature fairy swing inside a planter, on a patio table, or tucked into a vegetable bed. Herbs like thyme or oregano provide a lush backdrop for fairy gardens, and trailing strawberries add sweetness and fruit to the scene. Maintenance is simple. Replace twigs if they weather over time, refresh the moss, or change the flowers seasonally to keep the display vibrant. Each version becomes a new chapter in your garden story. In the end, your whimsical twig swing is more than a decoration. It's a spark of joy, a playful whisper in the breeze, and a tiny reminder that even in the busiest lives, there's room for magic. Sometimes the most practical garden structures can also be the most beautiful. A rustic twig obelisk with flowering beans combines function and artistry, turning your vegetable garden into a living sculpture. This tall, triangular frame, built entirely from dry branches, supports climbing plants while adding vertical drama and rustic elegance to your backyard. To begin, gather 4 or 5 long, sturdy twigs of similar length. Push their bases firmly into the soil in a circular or square shape. Bring the tops together to form a pyramid, then lash them securely with natural jute rope. Add horizontal crosspieces at intervals to strengthen the structure and give plants extra support. The end result is a simple obelisk, strong, stable, and naturally beautiful. Now comes the transformation. Plant climbing beans, such as scarlet runner beans or pole beans, at the base of the obelisk. As the vines grow, gently guide them upward, weaving them through the twigs. Within weeks, the obelisk will be alive with lush green foliage, bright blossoms, and dangling pods. Scarlet runner beans, for instance, produce vibrant red flowers that attract hummingbirds and bees while providing edible harvests. Place the obelisk strategically in your garden. It can act as a centerpiece in a vegetable bed, drawing the eye upward and breaking the flat lines of the garden. Or use several obelisks in a row to create a dramatic vertical accent. Surround them with companion plants like marigolds to deter pests, lavender for fragrance, and basil or strawberries for practical use. The rustic charm of the obelisk only deepens with time. Twigs weather naturally, blending into the garden. The flowering beans add a splash of seasonal color, and the pods become a source of fresh food. Guests will admire not only the beauty but also the ingenuity of combining artistry with productivity. Beyond aesthetics, obelisks are incredibly practical. They improve air circulation around bean plants, reducing disease, and make harvesting easier. They also help small gardens maximize vertical space, making even tiny backyards feel lush and abundant. And perhaps most importantly, building an obelisk is nearly free. Fallen branches that might otherwise be discarded become the backbone of your garden. With your own hands, you create a structure that is sustainable, functional, and timeless. The rustic twig obelisk with flowering beans is more than a support, it's a statement piece, a living tower of growth that symbolizes creativity and the joy of gardening. Few garden features bring as much charm and life as a birdbath. When you create one using natural twigs and sparkling mosaic stones, you get the perfect blend of rustic texture and artistic beauty. A mosaic stone and dry branch birdbath is not only an eye-catching centerpiece but also a haven for birds, butterflies, and pollinators that enrich your garden. To start, collect sturdy dry branches of varying thickness. Bundle and interweave them to form a pedestal. You can shape the branches into a tripod, or twist several together to create a sculptural stand. Secure them with rope, wire, or nails to make sure the base is strong enough to support the bowl. The natural irregularity of the branches gives the stand its rustic character. Next, choose a shallow bowl or wide dish to serve as the basin. This can be an upcycled ceramic dish, an old metal tray, or even a repurposed planter saucer. Decorate the interior with mosaic stones, either colorful glass pieces, broken tiles, or smooth pebbles. Arrange them into playful patterns, flowers, spirals, or simple bursts of color. Use waterproof adhesive or grout to secure them, creating a vibrant surface that sparkles when wet. Place the basin securely atop the branch stand, ensuring it's level and stable. Fill it with clean water, no deeper than a few inches, so that birds can safely bathe and drink. To prevent mosquitoes, refresh the water regularly. Position your birdbath in a sunny but partially shaded spot, ideally near shrubs or trees where birds can perch before visiting. Surround the area with pollinator-friendly flowers like lavender, marigolds, and daisies to draw wildlife in. For extra charm, plant strawberries or herbs like basil around the base, making the birdbath a centerpiece of productivity and beauty. Once installed, the magic begins. Birds flutter in, dipping their wings in the cool water. Butterflies sip from the edges, and bees pause for refreshment. The gentle movement of wildlife transforms your garden into a living, breathing ecosystem. Guests will be delighted, children fascinated, and you will feel a deep sense of connection with nature. Beyond aesthetics, this project embodies sustainability. The twigs are recycled from pruning, the mosaic pieces from broken but cherished items, and the dish repurposed instead of discarded. Each element carries a story, woven together into a functional piece of art. The mosaic stone and dry branch birdbath is more than decoration. It is a celebration of life, creativity, and the beauty that comes when we give old materials a second chance to shine. There's something truly magical about walking through a garden at night when soft lanterns glow like stars close to the earth. With just dry branches and a few mason jars, you can create rustic branch fairy lantern posts that transform your backyard into an enchanting evening retreat. This project blends natural simplicity with cozy atmosphere, giving your garden both beauty and functionality. Begin by selecting sturdy dry branches tall enough to serve as posts. Trim them so they can stand securely, and bury the base a few inches into the soil along a pathway, beside a flower bed, or framing a seating area. The irregular texture of the branches instantly adds rustic charm, making each post feel like part of the landscape rather than a manufactured addition. Next, prepare your lanterns. Clean mason jars or recycled glass jars make the perfect vessels. You can decorate them with twine, lace, or a touch of paint to fit your garden style. Place LED candles or small solar lights inside each jar, safe, long-lasting, and weather-resistant. Attach the jars to the posts with strong rope, wire, or metal hooks, allowing them to hang at varying heights for visual interest. When evening arrives, light up your lanterns and watch the transformation. The jars glow warmly, casting gentle shadows across flowers and pathways. Suddenly, a simple walk in the garden becomes an experience of wonder, as if stepping into a fairy tale. Children will love the whimsical look, guests will admire the creativity, and you will find joy in the peaceful ambience every night. To enhance the effect, plant colorful flowers or herbs at the base of the posts. Lavender, basil, and marigolds not only add fragrance but also thrive under soft evening light. For added magic, choose solar jars that automatically turn on at dusk, blending convenience with charm. These lantern posts are more than decoration. They provide gentle illumination for safe evening strolls, mark pathways beautifully, and create the perfect backdrop for outdoor dinners or quiet moments of reflection. They can even be adapted seasonally. Add small ribbons for celebrations, paint the jars in festive colors, or hang tiny ornaments in winter. The best part is their sustainability. Fallen branches and recycled jars are given new life, proving that elegance doesn't require expensive materials. Instead, it comes from creativity, care, and the willingness to see beauty in simplicity. The rustic branch fairy lantern posts with mason jars are a reminder that with imagination, even the humblest scraps can light up your world, literally. Sometimes the most delightful garden features are the smallest ones. A whimsical mossy twig planter for succulents proves that even simple scraps, fallen branches, moss, and hardy plants, can become captivating little artworks that charm both the eye and the heart. These planters are perfect for adding rustic elegance to patios, pathways, or cozy garden corners. Start by gathering flexible dry twigs. Weave or tie them together in a circular or oval shape, creating a small basket-like frame. The shape doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, the more irregular, the more whimsical it looks. Once your twig structure is ready, line it with moss. Moss not only adds lush texture but also helps hold soil and moisture for the plants. You can secure it with thin wire or simply tuck it between twigs until it feels snug. Next, add a layer of lightweight soil. Succulents like echeveria, sedum, or sempervivum thrive best in well-draining conditions, so use a sandy mix. Arrange the succulents creatively, mix colors, shapes, and sizes to form a miniature landscape. Soft green rosettes, pastel purples, and trailing varieties all combine beautifully. Place small stones or pebbles among the plants to complete the rustic woodland effect. Set your mossy twig planter on a garden table, beside a pathway, or on top of a stone wall. Imagine guests noticing it and leaning closer to admire the details. In the right placement, the succulents will catch the sun's rays, their leaves shimmering in shades of silver and jade. At night, add a small solar light nearby to make the moss glow, giving the planter an enchanted aura. These planters are not just decorative, they're also practical. Succulents are low maintenance, needing little water and thriving in sunny spots. The twig and moss base keeps them protected while providing a unique, natural container. Even if you live in a small home with limited outdoor space, these planters fit perfectly on balconies, patios, or windowsills. What makes them especially meaningful is their sustainability. Fallen twigs and foraged moss find new purpose, while succulents, often propagated from a single leaf, grow into thriving clusters. Each planter tells a story of resourcefulness and creativity, proving that beauty doesn't require expensive materials, just imagination and care. The whimsical mossy twig planter for succulents is a small detail with big impact. It invites wonder, sparks conversation, and brings rustic artistry into everyday life, one tiny basket of magic at a time. A garden isn't just a place to grow plants, it's a place to sit, rest, and breathe in the beauty around you. That's why a rustic twig bench with mosaic inlays is such a perfect addition. It offers a practical seating space while becoming a piece of handcrafted art that sparks admiration. Made from humble twigs and broken tiles, this bench turns recycled materials into a rustic masterpiece. To create one, start with a simple bench frame. You can repurpose an old wooden bench or construct a new one using sturdy dry branches as the main structure. Choose thick, straight twigs for the legs and arms, and lash them together securely with rope or screws. Add thinner branches across the seat and backrest to give it texture and organic charm. The irregular lines of twigs create a handcrafted look that feels natural and inviting. Now comes the special touch, mosaic inlays. Gather broken tiles, shards of colorful plates, or recycled glass pieces. Use waterproof adhesive to embed them into sections of the bench, perhaps the backrest or seat panels. Arrange the pieces into patterns, flowers, spirals, or abstract bursts of color. Once set, grout the spaces between pieces for durability. When sunlight hits the mosaic, it sparkles beautifully, contrasting with the rustic texture of the twigs. Place the bench in a meaningful spot in your garden. Under an archway, beside a pond, or along a pathway are perfect choices. Surround it with fragrant plants like lavender, roses, or basil so that when you sit, you're immersed in scent as well as beauty. Imagine sipping tea, reading a book, or simply pausing to watch butterflies dancing around your flowers. Beyond being a seating area, this bench tells a story. It shows how scraps, a fallen branch, a broken plate, can be reborn into something both functional and stunning. It's a conversation starter, a photo backdrop, and a reminder that beauty is found in imperfections. The rustic twig bench with mosaic inlays is sustainable, budget-friendly, and deeply personal. Each mosaic piece reflects your creativity, each twig connects you with nature. Over time, as moss creeps onto the twigs and flowers bloom around it, the bench only becomes more charming. This is more than furniture, it's a throne of memories, crafted by your hands, rooted in your garden, and glowing with rustic elegance. There's something enchanting about a garden pathway that comes alive after the sun sets. By adding rustic twig path lantern holders with solar jars, you can create a magical evening atmosphere while guiding visitors safely through your garden. This project is simple, sustainable, and incredibly rewarding, turning basic twigs and recycled jars into glowing beacons of rustic charm. Begin with sturdy dry branches to serve as posts. Choose branches with natural forks at the top, as these will easily hold the lanterns. Trim and shape them as needed, then bury the bases firmly along your garden pathway, spacing them evenly for rhythm and balance. The irregular textures of the twigs blend seamlessly with the natural landscape, making them appear like part of the garden itself. Next, prepare your lanterns. Clean mason jars or recycled glass bottles are perfect for this purpose. Place small solar lights or LED candles inside, ensuring they are waterproof for outdoor use. Attach each jar to the twig posts with strong rope, wire, or rustic twine. Hanging them at slightly different heights adds visual interest and makes the pathway feel dynamic rather than uniform. As dusk falls, the solar jars begin to glow, casting warm pools of light along the path. The effect is both practical and magical. Your garden becomes a welcoming space for evening strolls, outdoor dinners, or quiet reflections under the stars. Children will marvel at the fairy-like glow, while guests will admire the creativity of turning simple branches and jars into elegant lighting. Enhance the ambience further by surrounding the pathway with flowers and herbs. Lavender releases fragrance at night, marigolds add pops of gold, and basil or mint provides fresh scents. The soft illumination highlights their textures, creating layers of beauty even after dark. These twig lantern holders also have the benefit of sustainability. Fallen branches find new purpose, and old jars that might otherwise be discarded become shining features of your garden. Solar power keeps them eco-friendly and cost-free to operate. Seasonal decorations can easily be added: ribbons for celebrations, dried flowers for autumn, or festive colors for winter gatherings. In the end, the rustic twig path lantern holders with solar jars are more than just lights. They are storytellers, guiding footsteps, illuminating flowers, and bringing warmth to the garden soul. Every evening, as the jars flicker to life, they remind you that simple materials can create unforgettable magic. Features captivate the senses like the sight and sound of flowing water. By combining natural twigs and stones, you can craft a dry branch waterfall spillway with stones, a garden element that brings beauty, serenity, and wildlife into your backyard. More than a decoration, it becomes a soothing heart of your outdoor space. Start with a small pond or water basin as your base. This can be a prefabricated liner, a repurposed container, or a stone-lined hollow. Next, collect sturdy dry branches and arrange them to form a rustic spillway. Position them so that water can flow over and between them naturally. Layer mossy stones at the base, creating steps that guide the water downward into the pond. This combination of wood and stone creates the illusion of a woodland stream, blending seamlessly into the garden. Install a simple water pump in the pond to keep the flow continuous. Hide the tubing among the branches, so the water appears to emerge organically from the structure. Over time, the branches will weather and the moss will spread, enhancing the rustic, natural look. Surround the spillway with plants that thrive near water. Ferns, hostas, and hydrangeas add lush greenery, while marigolds and lavender provide bursts of color and fragrance. For a productive twist, plant strawberries or tomatoes nearby. The gentle humidity of the water feature will benefit them. The spillway not only delights the eyes and ears but also creates a microhabitat for frogs, dragonflies, and songbirds, enriching the garden's ecosystem. During summer, the sound of trickling water transforms the atmosphere. It masks urban noise, offering peace and calm even in busy neighborhoods. Imagine sipping tea beside your pond, listening to the cascade, and watching sunlight sparkle across the water's surface. At night, add small solar lights to highlight the spillway, turning it into a glowing focal point after dark. What makes this project truly special is its sustainability. Instead of buying expensive stone fountains, you repurpose fallen branches and natural stones, materials that tell the story of your own landscape. Each twig and rock becomes part of a living artwork, crafted by your hands, powered by creativity. The dry branch waterfall spillway with stones is more than a water feature. It is a sanctuary, a melody of movement and sound, and a daily reminder that even the simplest natural materials can create extraordinary garden beauty. garden is not only about flowers and beauty, it's also about flavor, fragrance, and the joy of harvesting fresh ingredients. A rustic twig ladder shelf for potted herbs brings all of these together in one charming creation. Crafted from simple dry branches, this shelf turns your herbs into both a functional pantry and a rustic garden centerpiece. Begin with 2 long, sturdy branches to serve as the side rails of your ladder. For the rungs, use smaller twigs cut to equal length. Attach them horizontally with nails, screws, or strong rope, spacing them evenly to hold pots securely. The natural unevenness of twigs gives the ladder its rustic appeal. You can leave it raw for a woodland look or paint the twigs in soft pastel colors for a whimsical cottage touch. Once the ladder frame is ready, lean it against a wall, fence, or tree for support. Place terracotta pots or recycled containers on each rung, filling them with your favorite herbs: basil, mint, rosemary, thyme, oregano, or parsley. For extra color and fragrance, mix in lavender or small edible flowers. As the plants grow, the ladder becomes a vertical tapestry of greenery, scent, and texture. This project doesn't just save space, it transforms how you interact with your garden. Imagine walking outside on a summer morning, clipping fresh basil for pasta, mint for tea, or rosemary for roasting. Everything is organized in one place, easy to harvest, and displayed beautifully like living decor. The shelf can also be placed near your outdoor dining area or kitchen entrance, making fresh flavors always within reach. Pair it with companion plants around the base: marigolds to deter pests, strawberries for a sweet touch, or cherry tomatoes for color and abundance. The combination of herbs and vegetables creates a lively and productive corner. Beyond its function, the ladder shelf tells a story of sustainability. Fallen branches are repurposed, old containers find new life, and nothing goes to waste. Every herb you grow reduces the need for store-bought packaging, making this a small but meaningful step toward eco-friendly living. Over time, the wood will weather, moss may creep along the edges, and the structure will only look more natural and charming. Seasonal changes keep it interesting: swap in autumn gourds, winter greenery, or spring flowers to refresh the display. The rustic twig ladder shelf for potted herbs is more than storage. It's a stage where your garden's flavors shine, a rustic sculpture that celebrates creativity, and a daily reminder of the simple joys of growing your own food. One of the most striking ways to transform discarded materials into beauty is by combining strength and charm. A rustic branch and tire planter tower does exactly that, stacking old tires into vertical planters and decorating them with twigs to create a towering sculpture of greenery and blooms. This project is bold, colorful, and wonderfully sustainable. To begin, collect 2 to 4 old tires. Clean them thoroughly and paint them with vibrant colors. Pastels like mint, lavender, and coral work beautifully for a cottage feel, while bright hues like yellow and blue bring playful energy. Once dry, stack the tires to form a tower. To ensure stability, insert long dry branches vertically through the tires, lashing them together with rope. These branches provide both structural support and rustic decoration, transforming plain rubber into garden art. Fill each tire with soil, starting from the bottom up. Plant a mix of flowers and edibles: marigolds for brightness, petunias for trailing beauty, and strawberries or herbs for practicality. As the plants grow, their colors and textures will spill over the edges, softening the tire shapes and blending them into the garden. The vertical form of the tower makes it a perfect solution for small spaces. Instead of spreading wide, it rises upward, creating a dramatic focal point in even the tiniest yards. Place it at the center of a garden bed, near a pathway, or as a backdrop for a seating area. Over time, vines like morning glories or beans can be guided to climb the supporting branches, wrapping the tower in living greenery. This transforms the tower into a dynamic piece of art that changes with each season: flowers in spring, fruit in summer, foliage in autumn. Beyond its beauty, the planter tower is a symbol of creativity and sustainability. Tires that might have been discarded and left to pollute the environment are reborn as thriving homes for plants. Dry branches, often overlooked, become natural accents that add character and balance. Together, they create a structure that is both eco-friendly and inspiring. Imagine guests entering your garden and pausing, captivated by the tower's height, colors, and textures. They'll be amazed when you explain it was made from nothing but old tires and branches. The rustic branch and tire planter tower proves that with imagination, even the most unlikely materials can grow into something extraordinary. Gardens are often at their most beautiful when they balance productivity with artistry. A dry branch raised bed frame for veggies captures this perfectly, offering a practical way to grow food while adding rustic charm to your backyard. Made from simple twigs, these raised beds are affordable, eco-friendly, and incredibly effective for creating organized, thriving gardens. To begin, mark out the area for your raised bed. Collect long, sturdy dry branches and cut them to equal lengths. For a woven style, drive upright stakes into the soil at intervals and weave thinner twigs horizontally between them, basket style, to form rustic walls. Alternatively, stack thicker branches in layers, securing them with rope or nails. Either method creates a natural barrier that is sturdy, breathable, and visually appealing. Once the frame is built, fill the bed with rich soil. This is the exciting part. Plant your favorite vegetables, carrots, radishes, and beets for root crops, lettuce, spinach, and kale for leafy greens, or tomatoes, peppers, and beans for summer abundance. Raised beds allow for deeper, looser soil, which means healthier root systems and faster growth. The rustic look of twigs blends seamlessly into the garden. Over time, the branches weather and age gracefully, giving your beds an organic, handmade appearance. To make the beds even more enchanting, plant marigolds or nasturtiums around the edges. Not only do they add color, but they also repel pests naturally. You might even tuck strawberries or herbs like basil at the corners, making your raised beds both beautiful and productive. Raised beds bring many benefits. They improve drainage, protect crops from soil compaction, and make maintenance easier, less bending and fewer weeds. For small gardens, they maximize planting space, and for larger gardens, they create order and structure. Children love planting in them too, making raised beds perfect for family gardening. What makes this project extra special is its sustainability. Instead of buying expensive wood or metal frames, you're reusing branches that would otherwise be discarded. Each raised bed becomes a symbol of resourcefulness and care for the environment, proving that eco-friendly solutions can also be stunning. Imagine walking through your backyard in summer, rows of raised beds filled with lush, vibrant crops, framed by rustic twigs. Guests will admire the beauty, and you'll enjoy the satisfaction of harvesting fresh produce from something you built with your own hands. The dry branch raised bed frame for veggies is more than a container for plants. It's a celebration of growth, creativity, and the timeless joy of working with nature. Every garden deserves a touch of grandeur, and nothing makes an entrance more inviting than a whimsical twig crown wreath for garden gates. Handcrafted from simple branches and decorated with flowers, this crown-shaped wreath transforms an ordinary gate into a regal welcome, charming, rustic, and full of personality. To begin, collect flexible twigs such as willow or hazel. Their bendability makes it easier to weave them into circular and crown-like shapes. Start by forming a sturdy ring as the base, then add smaller curved twigs, weaving them upward and inward until the outline resembles a crown. Secure the intersections with natural jute rope or wire. Don't worry if it looks slightly uneven, the imperfections enhance its rustic charm. Next comes the decoration. Adorn the crown with fresh or dried flowers, daisies, marigolds, or roses for bright color, lavender for fragrance, ivy or moss for texture. You can also add ribbons, painted accents, or even recycled materials like bottle caps or beads for a unique twist. If you enjoy night gardening, wrap tiny LED fairy lights around the wreath to give it a magical glow after sunset. Hang the crown wreath securely at the center or top of your garden gate. As visitors approach, they'll immediately notice the whimsical detail, setting the tone for the garden beyond. It becomes a symbol of creativity and care, announcing that this is not just a yard, but a personal sanctuary filled with imagination. This project also adapts beautifully to the seasons. In spring, weave in blossoms and pastel ribbons. In summer, crown it with vibrant sunflowers or herbs like rosemary and basil. Autumn welcomes golden leaves, berries, and pine cones, while winter can feature evergreen branches and festive decorations. Each season refreshes the wreath, keeping your entrance lively and meaningful all year round. Beyond beauty, the twig crown wreath tells a story of sustainability. Every branch used is repurposed, every flower is seasonal, and every accent carries a piece of your creativity. Guests will ask where you bought such a unique piece, and you'll smile, knowing it was made with your own hands. The whimsical twig crown wreath for garden gates is more than an accessory. It's a statement of welcome, artistry, and imagination. It frames your garden as a place of wonder, where rustic materials meet timeless beauty, and where even the simplest twigs can be crowned with magic. And that brings us to the end of today's journey through 25+ rustic branch creations. From simple swings to whimsical wreaths, I hope you've discovered ideas that inspire you to see your garden, and even your scraps, in a whole new way. If something sparked your imagination, let me know in the comments. Which project would you love to try first? Don't forget to hit subscribe, give this video a like, and share your thoughts below. Your feedback keeps this dream alive, and together, we can keep turning trash into timeless garden treasures. See you in the next one.